recording.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second public meeting, Surveillance Technology Public Comment Meeting, hosted by the Seattle Police Department and the Seattle Information Technology Department. Next slide, please. I just want to alert everyone that this meeting is being recorded and will be posted online. Any information provided, including public comments to the City of Seattle, is considered a public record and may be subject to public disclosure. For more information, please see the Public Records Act, RCW Chapter 4256. Next slide, please. There are some basics for WebEx, how you can manage your work that you're doing with us today. The mute and video buttons are at the bottom. If you are calling in, there is a way to do that. There's also a little chat bubble. So if you would like to make any comments in the chat, you may do it there. Please do be aware that those are subject to public disclosure. Next slide, please. If you have dialed in once the meeting starts, if you have a question, press *3 to raise your hand. Once you've raised your hand, you'll hear the prompt, "You have raised your hand to ask a question." Please wait to speak until the host calls on you. That will be me or Jim Britt. To hear a list of commands available during your meeting or the event, press **. If you no longer want to ask a question or the host has already called on you, then press *3 to lower your hand. You'll hear a message, "You have lowered your hand." Next slide, please. We want to make sure that everyone is respectful of diverse opinions and experiences. We hope that people will actively listen to the presentations. Anybody who is disruptive, intimidating, or aggressive may be muted. You may be asked to provide your comment online or by letter. And please do keep your comments as brief as possible and related to the technology in focus to allow everyone the opportunity to speak. Next slide, please. So just for a moment, I am Heather Marks. I am the Executive Director of Strategic Initiatives at the Seattle Police Department. And the surveillance ordinance and the work we do around that is my responsibility. Surveillance at the City of Seattle is defined as technologies that observe or analyze the movements, behavior, or actions of identifiable individuals in a manner that is reasonably likely to raise concerns about civil liberties, freedom of speech or association, racial equity, or social justice. Certain technologies, such as police body cameras and technologies for everyday use, like computers, are excluded from the law. Next slide, please. There are a couple of ways to comment on technologies. You can use the survey link that is listed here that will be attached to this PowerPoint presentation that we will share. You can also email your comments or mail your comments to Surveillance and Privacy Program, Seattle IT, PO Box 94709, Seattle, Washington 98124. Next slide, please. SPD, our favorite, Captain Jim Britt, will present the technologies that we are currently using, the hostage negotiation throw phone, and then there will be an opportunity for public comment. Jim, I'd like to turn it over to you for the presentation.
Thank you. And this slide, just for those watching online, has information about how to contact additional folks. We have SPD contact information and contacting your city council member, who of course weigh in on the use of technology, of surveillance technology by the police department as well. Can we go to the next slide, please? So we'll go ahead and go into the details of what we're here today to discuss. We're here to discuss the hostage negotiation throw phone, which is used by the Seattle Police Department's hostage negotiation team. As with all things, we start with the mission of the Seattle Police Department, which is to prevent crime, enforce the law, and support quality public safety by delivering respectful, professional, and dependable police services. The hostage throw phone. What is this technology? The hostage negotiation throw phone is a part of a communication system used to negotiate with subjects in hostage or crisis situations. The phone case includes microphones and speakers to enable two-way communication in an overt or covert manner. It also includes hidden cameras to support threat and tactical assessment. Why we use the technology. Throw phone systems of this nature are standard equipment for hostage and crisis negotiation teams throughout the country. At times, there are no other means of phone communication with the subject in a hostage or barricaded person situation. The system allows the team to facilitate the development of negotiation strategies and ensure that safety-related information is relayed. Essentially, it allows us to communicate more effectively with those for whom there is no other method of communication. Go ahead, please. The data collected, the delivery of the throw phone is typically pre-negotiated with the subject that we are speaking with via either hailing, which means using a loudspeaker or yelling real loud, or by other means. Live feed video is monitored by the HNT, which is the hostage negotiation team, or SWAT personnel, either from the HNT truck via system networked laptop or through a remote view application in range of the Wi-Fi system. Video recorded on the system hard drive is only accessible by HNT members who have controlled access either by password or by permission granted from the computer running the software. The protections for that data. The deployment into a constitutionally protected area requires an authorized entry into the area via warrant or warrant exception, which includes consent, exigent circumstances, or community caretaking or an emergency. Deployment of the throw phone system during an incident involves the authorization of the HNT supervisor, incident commander, and the SWAT commander if present. RCW 9.73.030 expressly provides an exception to the all parties consent rule for the monitoring, intercepting, and recording of calls involving communications with a hostage holder or a barricaded person. There's a series of related policies here within the department, as well as the Washington Privacy Act, Chapter 9.73 RCW, and then a series of department policies that apply to the use of the hostage throw phone. Now, as we have currently no members of the public logged in, I would like to, before we get into too much other detail, there is a series of questions that were asked in the first session that we have endeavored to find the answers to, and I'd like to go through those questions and answers at this time. The first question that was asked in session one by one of our community members, all of these questions were asked by community members. Item 2.3 in the surveillance impact report mentions that there being a microphone and camera on the throw phone. In addition to streaming that content, is it always recording audio and video from all the mics and cameras, or does an SPD officer need to turn on the recording for each relevant mic or camera? The answers, which were gathered from both working with the vendor and mostly with our lead of the hostage negotiation team, the answer is that the default setting on the system is set to begin automatically recording the microphone and all of the cameras once the equipment is hooked up and powered on. Because of this, and to avoid unintended recordings, SPD waits to power on the system until it is actually ready to deploy. The second question that was asked by the community member was item 2.3 in the SIR mentions there being a video feed. Is that video feed served over a wired or wireless connection? The answer is that the throw phone itself is a wired device that connects to the monitor or the DVR portion of the system via a wired cable. Typically, the monitor/DVR is connected to the wired LAN local area network in the truck so that the feed can be monitored from one of the non-SPD networked laptops connected to the wired LAN on the truck. These laptops are referred to as satellite devices, as they utilize the CINT satellite software to communicate with the system. It is possible to monitor the feed wirelessly through the router or on the LAN if in range of the truck's system. This has not been reliable with the current configurations of the system and the truck's networking capabilities. Wireless connections would require the main CINT commander console to authorize any satellite devices or user login and passwords with devices that have appropriate viewer software installed. In no way does the device communicate with satellites in orbit. The term satellite is used in this case to refer to the meaning something that depends on, accompanies, or serves something else. Once again, we do not communicate with orbital satellites overhead. The third question that was asked, who is responsible for deleting the recordings from the Throwphone video monitoring console's hard drive after they have been uploaded into evidence storage, and how long are recordings kept on the console's hard drive before they are deleted? The answer from HNT is that there is no way to delete individual recordings from the system's hard drive. According to the manufacturer, this was a feature designed to prevent tampering. The recordings can only be erased from the hard drive by reformatting the entire drive or by being overwritten once the drive is full. Given the size of the hard drive and the infrequency of use, it is likely that the recordings would remain on the drive for several years or until overwritten. At this time, the hard drive is not reformatted after every use. Therefore, recordings remain present on the drive, which is secured with the HNT equipment and only accessible by HNT personnel. The question number 4, is any part of the Throwphone system connected to the SPD network? Item 5.2 in the SIR says that the software automatically alerts users of data that must be deleted under legal deletion requirements. However, that seems unlikely to occur for data stored on systems not connected to the SPD network. Are there automated alerts regarding data deletion for data stored on the Throwphone's video monitoring system? If so, who receives those alerts? The answer from the HNT team is that this system is standalone and not connected to the SPD network. The CINT system and the SPD network on the truck may share a router, but the systems are firewalled from each other. Video and audio recorded through the Throwphone are recorded directly onto the system's monitoring/DVR component. Files that are recorded are generally maintained until overwritten, and there are no automated alerts sent. Question number 5. Regarding the recordings, item 4.7 in the SIR says that downloaded video is submitted as evidence, but doesn't explain how the recording is downloaded and transferred into evidence storage. Are the recordings downloaded onto a USB stick, burned onto a DVD, or is the Throwphone's console connected to the SPD network for direct transfer of files? The answer from HNT, there is no direct connection between the Throwphone system and the SPD network. The recordings can be transferred to DVD or a USB stick plugged directly into the monitoring device. The DVD or USB stick is then connected to an SPD network for transfer to their storage location. Question 6. For recordings not associated with an investigation and therefore not being stored as evidence, who decides which recordings will be stored in the HNT folder on the SPD network? The answer from the HNT team. The team's chief negotiator or team leader would decide if any non-evidentiary recordings would be stored in the HNT folder. Normally, non-evidentiary recordings would not be stored in the folder, with the only likely exception being recordings made during any training exercises where the system was used to record mock negotiation situations. Question 7. Item 5.3 in the SIR asks, what measures will be used to destroy improperly collected data? And SPD's answer covers data collected as evidence, but according to item 4.9 in the SIR, only 1 out of the 5 reasons for retaining a recording was for evidence in investigations. So what happens with the recordings not retained as evidence? And also in 5.3, SPD answered with the CJIS security policy on disposal of digital media, but it's unlikely that SPD is throwing the video monitoring system in the garbage after each deployment. So what is the actual data life cycle, and what ensures data not in scope as evidence is promptly deleted? The answer from the HNT team is that in the event that improperly collected data was collected on the system and needed to be destroyed, the system's hard drive would have to be reformatted. Question number 8. In addition to the audio and video capabilities, what, if any, additional sensors are on the Throwphone? The answer from HNT, beyond audio and video to include motion detection, there are no additional sensors on the system. Question 9. Who is responsible for keeping the software up to date, SPD or IT? And the answer from HNT, as a standalone system, members of SPD's HNT are responsible for installing any software updates to the system. Question 10. Has SPD purchased or used any satellite-based services for their throw phones, such as the CINT Commander Satellite Program? The answer from HNT, the system is not associated with orbital satellites. The quote satellite portion of the system is software for any additional system networked laptops to connect to the computer running the Commander software so that team members in the other room of the truck or at a nearby command post can view and add to the logs, monitor or play back the phone conversations, view the video feed of if the throw phone is deployed, and message with the team members on the phone in the other room of the truck. Data and communication with the satellite computers is via the LAN only and not transmitted to or via internet services. Once again, want to be very clear that the term satellite is not referring to orbital satellite systems. Question 11. Item 5.1 in the SIR mentioned recordings being kept in an HNT folder on the SPD network. Are there access logs for that folder? And is there monitoring and alerting for anomalous access to the files in that folder? And the answer from SPD, access to the HNT folder on the SPD network is restricted to HNT members and the SWAT and Special Operations commanders that oversee the unit. Access to the folder containing any videos would be for the purpose of training, evaluation, and team management. Seattle IT manages the permissions related to access to shared folders on the SPD network. Requests are submitted to Seattle IT Help Desk, who then seek approval from SPD prior to granting access. IT also, through their security office, manages the security requirements related to anomalous access and audit logs, access logs. Question 12. Is there any policy on how many and which computers are allowed to be connected to the CINT Commander's LAN or local area network? The answer from HNT, the number of satellite computers that could connect to the CINT Commander via LAN is limited by the capacity of the router. Computers connecting to the CINT Commander system need to be non-SPD networked and have the satellite software installed. The software is not authorized for SPD networked computers. When satellite computers with the software attempt to connect to the Commander computer, a message is sent to the Commander computer indicating that a named satellite is trying to connect and requires the user on the Commander computer to authorize the connection before access is granted. That user can grant different levels of access. Given that the current system only permits connection within wired or wireless connection of the truck, only team members present in the vicinity of the truck's router, it is unlikely that there would be a need or desire to connect more than 2 satellite computers to the system. Question 13. Is there any SPD policy regarding how many and which Bluetooth devices are allowed to be paired with the CINT Commander? The answer from HNT. There is no policy on this. The system only allows for the pairing of a single cell phone to the system. This is to make outgoing cellular phone calls to the system and is not related to throw phone components of the system. It's worth noting as well on this question that audio that is sent through the CINT system is fed through an audio cable to a junction box with additional headsets in the other compartment of the truck. This allows for the rest of the team to be listening as well to make sure that we're working as a team to answer the questions. One of the outputs for this box is for a wireless headset transmitter that uses digital spread spectrum secured audio transmission rather than Bluetooth. It would also be possible to connect a Bluetooth transmitter to the box for connection of Bluetooth speakers or headsets. However, we get better reliability with the DSS system or with a wired speaker. While that isn't an answer related to Bluetooth, we felt it was within the spirit of the question that was asked and wanted to make sure that we covered it. Question 14. Who decides which recordings will be kept as evidence? The answer from HNT is HNT supervisors and or investigations supervisors will make that determination. Question 15. Is there any SPD policy regarding which types of media are allowed to be used for transferring data off the CINT Commander, such as a USB stick is allowed but not CDs or /DVDs? The answer is from HNT is no. This is determined by what the system is capable of using for file export. Question 16. How is the live video feed secured? The answer from HNT. Viewing through the satellite computer systems requires the monitor/DVR to be hardwired into the truck's LAN system, the satellite software to be installed on the satellite computer, the satellite computer to be on the wired or password-protected wireless LAN network, and for the CINT computer device to authorize the access. Viewing through a mobile device requires viewer software to be installed on the device, the device to be within Wi-Fi range of the HNT truck's router, and for the user to utilize the account name and password programmed into the DVR system. Question 17. Does SPD use any biometric tools or systems such as voice, face, or gait analysis on the live audio-video feed or the recordings? The answer is no. These tools are not part of the system. Number 18. Which policy prohibits SPD employees from using a cell phone to record the live video feed on the screen? The answer from SPD, video feeds from actual use in the field would be evidentiary in nature. SPD policy 7.090 prohibits employees from creating or storing video or photographic evidence on personal devices. It may be necessary and in the interest of public safety to use a department cell phone camera or other device to capture recordings of the live feed for life safety or tactical purposes, so that information can be forwarded to the department devices of command or tactical personnel in a timely manner. For example, if there is a picture of the person we are communicating with, we want the folks who may have to enter the location to have the picture of the person that they intend to come in contact with. In another SIR, SPD has agreed to draft a technology policy that will govern these types of recordings, limiting them to only department-owned devices and only for official department purposes. The use of personal devices to create recordings for non-official use will be prohibited, and already is based on the evidence policy that was there. It will be additionally prohibited in the new policy that is being worked on now. Question 19, and the last question on our record here. When was the last audit of the throw phone system, and where can the public see a copy of that report? The answer from SPD, no such audit has yet occurred, as the SIR process for existing technologies is only now coming to an end. The OIG, Office of Inspector General, has begun audits of several technologies. For information on the future audit of HNT throw phone systems, please contact the Office of the Inspector General. That concludes the questions that we had on file from the first community public engagement session. While I don't see any members of the public logged in to this call, I do want to make sure that we open it up. So we will ask now if anybody on the call has any questions for the Seattle Police Department related to the policy, or comments, related to the policy or the information that's been presented here and in the surveillance impact report. Hearing no comments and seeing no members of the public currently logged to the call, can we please go to the next slide? What's next? Visit the hostage negotiation throw phone survey, which is included in the hyperlink here, to submit comments about these technologies. Comments collected will be included in the surveillance impact report submitted to the Surveillance Advisory Working Group and then to City Council for both committee vote and full council vote. If you go to www.seattle.gov/tech, you can also leave a comment on the Tech Talk blog. Next slide, please. I'm not sure if there is one. Just a thank you for everybody who's taken the time to view this recording. Please do not hesitate to reach out to Seattle IT or the Seattle Police Department with questions, comments, or concerns related to this topic. Heather?
Thank you so much, Captain Britt. I do appreciate it. Thanks to all of you who are watching this. We are going to end video now, and this will be posted on the website. Thank you all so